it's very interesting. I have heard from many kids I talk to, and that's actually very true during that period when kids are really nasty to each other. Sometimes we tend to attribute everything to racism, but I think bullying may not be just racism. I mean, white kids are also subject to bullying as well. So it's sometimes just being different from majority of other kids, and that will subject yourself to be bullied. In some cases, actually, especially for the Asian families, we tend to be harsh in terms of words to our kids. You know, kids when they're in school, they feel like a lot of people are teasing them, but when they come back home, there is no relent and there is no reprieve. And the parents are actually teasing them in different ways. So that's really, really something we as parents, we need to realize that. Can you talk about, you know, in terms of what's the consequence, how that affect the kids, their outlook about life, and when bullying happens, especially the bullying that happens chronically and persistently?
Thank you, Dr. Lee, for that question. So the impact of bullying on our kids, as I mentioned earlier during my presentation, some students, if they go through these chronic issues without getting adult to intervene to help with the issues, it may, their self-esteem may take a toll on that. And what this means is that the self-esteem is the underlying issue to a lot of mental health that we experience, like depression, anxiety, and interpersonal problems. And sometimes we see students, they don't know how to cope with those issues, so they would resort to drugs, addiction issues, all of that. So I think the underlying issue, the self-esteem, is the important part that gets suffered when a lot of those students are having this chronic bully issue. Yeah. Speaking of the mid-school part, it's very interesting that why we experience more of that among middle school is because developmentally in this stage, the cognitive development and the emotional regulation for a lot of those students, they lack of better skill to consolidate that. And a lot of kids who actually bully others are kids who long for belonging and long for friendship, but they don't know how to express that. And some of those kids are troubled maybe at home because their environment may not be stable enough. When there's emotion issues, they don't know how to articulate it, how to express it. So when they are trying to articulate their needs of wanting to have a belonging, wanting to have a strong identity, they only learn to use certain behaviors, problematic behaviors, to achieve that. So that's why you see that a lot among middle school starting from that. Yeah.